telling you, it's been a very, very busy 2 weeks. I'm busy like a cross-eyed cranberry picker. I'm busy like a moth in a mitten. I'm busy like a one-eyed cat watching 3 mouse holes. I'm busier than a stump full of ants. I'm busier than a puppy in a room full of rubber balls. I'm busy. We're going to have to cover 2 weeks this week. Stand by. Hey everybody, welcome back to RATTLECAN FAB Shop. I'm James. I'm so busy, I forgot my hat. Anyways, we're going to have to cover 2 weeks here because I just ran out of time last week. I can kind of squeak out a guitar video just because it's one class and it's pretty easy to kind of condense 4 hours into a short video. This one I got 4 other classes plus open labs to kind of cover. Ooh, that one was a little spicy. Anyways, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to combine the 2 weeks worth of activities into just one comment for each one of the classes. Welding and metal fabrication. We have finished up MIG welding in the flat position, and I think what I came away from all of that is that my voltage is not high enough. I think that's what I'm not hot enough. I think my wire is okay. I think I'm just not hot enough. I'm kind of humpy in the middle, and that makes me not happy. And that's kind of carrying over into we did vertical, downhill, and I've finished my overhead passes, and again, I mean, they're okay. I didn't feel like I was able to get sufficient penetration to the back of or the top of the weld, and I think that's a heat issue. But I'm also really filling up that bevel. So I think that's what it is. We're kind of doing one, you get a practice, and then you weld one to hand it in. So we're kind of going real fast here. In that class, we're also doing blueprint reading, and we're doing welding symbol lectures and tests on both of those. So we'll be given a print for a water tank or a utility trailer, and you have to figure out what the space is between this and this, what the thickness is between this and this, what the external circumference is, having to take into consideration is the measurement to the inside, and you'll have to account for wall thickness or other such mental gymnastics like that. But we're plugging along, and I'm learning. That's the big thing, is I'm learning. Advanced machining, that's a Tuesday and a Thursday because it's an A-term class. We're finishing up our angle plates, and we got a huge bonus in that we were able to go over and work on the ProtoTrak mills. Now, a ProtoTrak mill is a regular knee mill. A knee mill is, you're drilling like this, and then you got a table that moves back and forth like this. This is X and Y, this is X and Y, this is a Z axis. A ProtoTrak has the ability to do what's called conversational programming, where you sit there at the machine and you beep boop it in with your finger, and you tell the machine what you want it to do. And in our case, what we were doing is we had to precisely locate 3 rows of 5 holes, but we had to do multiple operations to that. So we had to center drill each of those 15 holes, and then we had to drill a hole, and we had to drill a hole for a thread, that we would thread later, and then we would have to drill a counter drill hole, not a counter sink, which is square on the bottom. This is a counter drill operation, and then we had to do that on both sides. So you got 15 holes on one side, had to flip the part, 15 on the other, the part shaped like an L, so you've done these two sides, now you have to do these two sides. So the ProtoTrak makes that extremely much gooder. It makes it better because you're able to predictably repeat where those holes are at every time instead of trying to do that manually. And it was great. It was also kind of a steep learning curve because I've not been through the ProtoTrak class. So I'm kind of drinking out of the fire hose on that one. And once again, I have a fantastic instructor, and we have really good lab techs who, if they are able to, outside of their normally assigned duties, are more than happy to help you out and kind of guide you through the process. They're not going to do it for you, and they're not necessarily going to tell you the answer every time, but they're going to go, have you thought about this? Did you consider this? And I can certainly work with people like that. So I have finished my piece for class, and that has been turned in, and my understanding is that all of our angle plates went off for heat treatment. So they're going to get carburized, and they're going to get hardened to 55 to 62 Rockwell, and they're going to come back to us, and then we are going to have to finish those pieces. So in the meantime, we have started the movable jaw of our grinding vise, and it's some interesting angles, some interesting geometry that you kind of have to think about, and some of it you do okay on, and some of it you struggle with. But that's learning. I think the part that I really enjoy is that one of our assignments is we have to write down what we think our process is going to be, and we have to discuss that with our instructor. And we've gotten some guidance on that, and sometimes my order is a little bit different than than some of the other guys, and my instructor will look at that and he will go, that's okay, or he will say, you might not want to do that. So again, we're learning, and we're plowing through on that. Wednesday morning, or I guess Wednesday afternoon, advanced shop math. Man, he was not kidding when he said the first 5 weeks of this is just going to be hideous, because it is circles and tangents and secants and chords and segments, and every one of those lines has a different formula with which you can figure out an angle, and it's just an uphill struggle. I'm not saying it's impossible. I'm not saying I'm going to do fantastic, but we'll get there. We just started areas and volumes, which is a little bit easier for me. Just because that's a lot more straightforward, and you'll get a strangely shaped object, and you'll have to break it up into 3 or 4 parts, and then you figure out the area or the volume for each one of those, and so that one's not so bad. So we're pushing through with that. Drafting, we're continuing to do isometric drawings, 3-view drawings, going from one to the other, at various levels of difficulty. Continue learning what the different lines are, the different nomenclature. Again, there's on blueprints and drafting stuff, it's a different language that you have to learn how to speak. And if you have a dashed line, if the little dashes connect with a solid line, that means one thing. If the dashes don't connect, that means something else, and you have to know the difference. So that's what we're doing on the drawing front, and we're starting to do AutoCAD. We're in AutoCAD 2021, and there's there's a lot to AutoCAD. So we're starting off with lines and how to make a line, how to make a line a certain length, and how to keep the line this way versus wiggly all over the place. We're drawing circles. We're learning the difference from drawing a circle diametrically as opposed to drawing a circle radially, and when to select those points. And we have started looking at objects on a piece of paper and trying to convert that to a drawing on the computer. So I learned an amazing thing called tan radius. Whereas if you have two circles and you're trying to connect them together in a, we would call it blending. If you're say you're in guitars and you're trying to blend like a headstock, if you're trying to make a Telecaster headstock, that's just a series of circles, and you're trying to get those circles to connect. Well, in the computer, you can hit a tangent point on one circle, a tangent point on another circle, and then you can specify the radius of the circle that connects them, and boop, it's there. It's like wizardry. It's amazing. So that's what we're learning in that. It's kind of slow going. They've got us in a newer classroom, and it's not ideal to learn in. It's kind of hard to visualize some things up on the wall, but they'll get it squirreled away. And then open labs. I have an open lab on Monday evening for 4 hours, and I have an open lab on Friday morning for 4 hours. And what I've been doing in my open lab is continuing to work on my my angle plate that is the 4140 material, and learning that it's different than regular mild steel, regular 1018 or A36 or whatever you want to call it. Oh, baby. So the feeds and speeds are different because you can easierly work hard in your piece, meaning that if you get your metal too hot, then you will start to harden it, because we send stuff out to heat treat to get it hardened. Well, you can heat treat the bottom of a drill hole by getting it too hot. So at least I'm learning about reduced feeds, reduced speeds, selection of tools. I'm starting to be a lot more picky about the drill bits and like my end mills, then and the carbide inserts on my face mills, because it matters. And when your tolerances were not so tight, didn't matter so much. But now, if you have a tighter tolerance and you have a metal that's a little more difficult to work with, it pays off to take an extra 15 seconds or 20, 30 seconds and pick out a good tool bit and to measure it. Because here's something that I just learned, and I never would have thought of it, but we have a section that says new end mills, and next to that we have a section that says reground end mills. Well, guess what? If you have a brand new 1/2 inch end mill, guess how wide that is? 1/2 inch. If you have a reground 1/2 inch end mill, guess what? Might not be 1/2 inch. So now, instead of taking one pass and getting a 1/2 inch channel, now you're going to have to scooch over a little bit because it might be a little bit out. I hadn't thought about that. Really starting to learn that you can pick drill bits out of the 1/2 inch drill bit drawer. You got to measure them, because a sharp one will be a 1/2 inch, and then one that's dull and somebody has just beat the dog snot out of won't quite be a 1/2 inch. You got to think about that stuff. So that's the value, at least I think, of coming in during open lab time, is because I have more time to have more time to experience that on my own and to measure those out and to have to think, why is this? And then you also don't have a ton of people in there so that you're able to ask the lab techs and bounce things off of them and say, well, why is this? And again, the answer oftentimes that I get is, did you think about this? Did you think about this? Well, no, I hadn't, because machining's a new language to me. Anyways, that's what happened this week at school. If you got questions, put them in the comments section down beneath the sermon notes. If there's anything you want to know about the program here or how to find a program in your area, shoot me a message. I'll do what I can. It's a great experience. I enjoy learning. I enjoy learning about something that I know a little bit about, and the more I learn how much more intricate and how much more involved it is. And machining, if nothing else, is intricate and involved. Anyways, that is the past 2 weeks at school. I am James's RATTLECAN Fab Shop. Remember, if I can do it, you can do it. And pay attention to math while you're in school, because it might bite you in the butt later on. Anyways, you guys have a great weekend. Cheers. Thanks for taking the time out of your day to spend it here with me. Hope you enjoyed this video. Here's one that you might enjoy as well. If you're not already subscribed, be sure to hit that button, hit the bell next to it so that you get a notification when we drop a new video. If you've got comments, put them down beneath the sermon notes. And remember, if I can do it, you can do it. You guys have a great weekend. Cheers.